All right, let's dive right into this explainer. We're going to be talking about the invisible shield of traffic management and engineering that protects the wildly fragile San Francisco Bay ecosystem. We often look out at the beautiful water and just see nature, but beneath the surface there is a massive, highly calculated system keeping everything safe. Because as a maritime safety expert who's spent years focused on environmental protection, the stuff we pull off here every single day is honestly mind-blowing. I mean, think about it. How do we safely guide a 900-foot steel behemoth through dense fog, fierce tides, and incredibly narrow channels, all without destroying an ecosystem that supports hundreds of bird species and crucial fisheries? It sounds like a total logistical nightmare, right? Yet it happens every single day. So to figure out how we manage that, we're going to unpack this whole system. We'll look at the high-stakes ecosystem itself, nature's obstacle course, how we actually engineer safe deep water passage, the way we manage this massive maritime symphony, and finally, the eyes on the water. Let's get right to it. Okay, Section 1, the high-stakes bay ecosystem and the price of failure. Let's see just how high the stakes truly are when navigating these waters, because when this invisible shield drops, the consequences are devastating. The financial breakdown from the 2007 Costco Busan accident really puts this into perspective. It is absolutely shocking how the $70 million in environmental cleanup completely dwarfs the physical property damage. When that massive ship struck the Bay Bridge, the repair to the ship and the bridge combined was under $4 million, but the cost to the environment exponentially higher. That huge financial disparity perfectly illustrates what we're really out there trying to protect. That single catastrophic navigational failure devastated the local ecosystem. You had a 901-foot container ship hitting the bridge in dense fog, spilling over 53,000 gallons of heavy fuel oil. It contaminated 26 miles of shoreline and killed over 2,500 birds. And the root cause? A totally deficient safety culture and a complete loss of situational awareness. It just proves why strict traffic protocols and proper radar setups are simply non-negotiable for deep draft vessels. Moving on to Section 2, let's talk about nature's obstacle course, the tides, the fog, and the rocks. Because the bay is not just a giant empty bathtub. The daily risks for deep draft vessels are incredibly intense. Imagine threading a 900-foot ship through narrow, shoaling-prone passages, like the Pinole Shoal, which is only 600 feet wide. You're doing that while fighting massive tidal turbulence. The Golden Gate ebb currents average 3.5 knots, but they can peak over 6.5 knots. Add in massive bridge obstructions and totally unmarked submerged hazards like harding, shag, and arch rocks lurking exactly where these massive vessels need to pass. And that's just the water. The air is a whole different beast. Seasonal microclimates dictate our daily safety protocols. In the summer, you get sea fog that races through the gate at a blistering 14 knots. But then winter rolls around and you get this dense, damp tule, radiation fog bleeding out of the inland valleys at a super sluggish 1 knot. Dealing with fast summer fog versus dense winter fog requires totally different situational assessments from our maritime teams. So Section 3, engineering safe deep water passage through dredging and tech. Let's look at the actual physical engineering that stops these ships from running aground on all those hidden hazards. 5 million, that's a huge number, right? Well, that is the exact number of cubic yards of sediment we have to dredge every single year just to maintain proper channel depths. Because here's the wild thing. 2/3 of the bay is naturally less than 18 feet deep, but we're bringing in ships drafting over 45 feet, maintaining that proper under-keel clearance, which is that crucial buffer of water beneath the ship, is a massive, never-ending engineering feat. Without constant dredging, the sediment carried down by the Sacramento and San Joaquin rivers would quickly make safe transit absolutely impossible. But obviously, dredging isn't our only tool. We also rely on advanced tech, like the Raycon, or radar beacon. When that thick tule fog rolls in and visibility hits zero, a pilot literally cannot see the bridge supports. But this transponder, placed right on the bridge center spans, paints a massive, coded signal directly onto the ship's radar screen. It acts as an essential technological lifeline, allowing vessels to safely thread the needle right between those bridge piers. Next up, Section 4, managing the maritime symphony and human coordination. Because we have the physical pathways cleared, but how do we keep the waterway from descending into absolute chaos? Central to all of this is the Harbor Safety Committee,
Formed right after a devastating 1990 oil spill, this committee acts as the central brain for drafting local safety and navigation rules. It's mandated by state law to proactively bring everyone to the table to figure out the safest way to operate.
And man, do they have a logistical puzzle to solve. They coordinate incredibly diverse marine user groups to share the exact same narrow channels safely. You've got giant deep draft oil tankers mixing it up with over 85,000 annual passenger ferry trips, up to 1,000 commercial fishing boats, plus weekend kayakers and the Coast Guard. The committee essentially writes the rules of the road that keep all these wildly different users from colliding. A brilliant example of their work is the local anchoring regulations. Ships can't just park wherever they feel like it. To prevent major congestion and maintain safe transit corridors, Anchorage 9 was strictly divided up. By reserving the western side entirely for deep draft vessels and the eastern side for lighter draft ones, we avoid chaotic bottlenecks and keep the deep water open for the ships that physically require it.
And when they do drop anchor, the magic number to remember is 750. Ships don't just stay perfectly still when they're anchored. They swing around on their chains, thanks to the wind and those fierce tides we talked about earlier. So there's a strict requirement of 750 yards of distance between anchored vessels to completely eliminate the risk of them swinging into each other.
Finally, Section 5, the eyes on the water. Let's look at the Vessel Traffic Service, or VTS, the active monitoring system watching over this entire maritime symphony. The Coast Guard VTS monitors movement patterns using 4 escalating levels of control. First, they monitor radar and radio to identify any brewing risks. Second, they inform vessels by passing along critical navigational data. Third, they recommend specific maneuvers based on the big picture they're seeing. And finally, if things get hairy, they have the ultimate authority to step in and direct traffic, imposing strict operating requirements specifically to protect lives and the fragile environment.
I actually love this quote from a VTS operations specialist that really hits the nail on the head regarding seasonal fog. They noted, when it's reduced or poor visibility, reporting requirements are far more stringent, and in consequence of that, it's even more important to maintain awareness. You're going to report anything and everything to everyone. That tells you everything you need to know, right? The second visibility drops, low visibility protocols trigger an immediate high alert enforcement, ensuring absolutely no one is flying blind out there.
So we've built this incredible invisible shield through constant dredging, precise radar beacons, strict harbor safety rules, and the vigilant eyes of VTS. We manage a seemingly impossible daily feat of environmental protection. But as vessel sizes continue to grow and extreme weather patterns increase, will nature eventually find a new weakness? I'll leave you with that provocative thought to ponder regarding the future of environmental protection on our waterways. Thanks for hanging out for this explainer, and keep learning.